Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. And as you guys can probably tell, as we previously stated in a prior vlog, my clutch was kind of on its way out. It was still working. It was going to be probably the end of the season, need to be replaced, but you know what, we got some rain coming up. So what I did was I actually just went ahead and ordered the new clutch kit. So it's not in yet, but I'm taking all this apart, get it all ready to go, so when the new one comes in, I can put it in. So, show you guys kind of like my process here. I went ahead and I've never done this before, ever. So, this is kind of like, come along with me for the first time. Hopefully we don't screw this up kind of deal. But I feel confident. I think we can get this done. Taking off everything in order, cover and everything else. Oil filter was absolutely disgusting. I'll show you guys that here. It was so bad. So it's been a bit since it's probably been replaced. Took off the front exhaust. That's over there. Obviously I got the cover off and everything else. And basically I'm at the point now where we're taking off the old gasket. So I'm scraping that off. Obviously the new one comes with the new kit. And after that, we'll start taking that apart. So I've never done this before. I've watched a couple YouTube videos. So here we go.
Alright, so good morning. It is like 4 or 5 days later. Just getting back in the garage. Parts came in. I finished my work week, so today's my day off. I'm in the garage with Logie Bear. And we're going to put it all back together. Alright, so we went ahead and we put these back in. They look like they're already kind of pre-oiled since it's a wet clutch, which is nice. So me and Bear are going to start putting this back together and making sure I got the little nut on there. Hold that there, bud. And away we go.
Okay. Wow, this is heavy. Oh, alright, so another day has gone by, and man, yesterday was kind of a wallop full of stuff. So ultimately, I was able to put the clutch in. In fact, it only took about 10 minutes to actually put the clutch itself in, so that wasn't too bad. But the problem was, on the other side, with the little extra meat of the new clutch, the clutch adjustment screw on the Yamaha V-Star was probably hanging on by a thread, and that stripped out and popped off, and it was an absolute nightmare to get that fixed. And ultimately, I didn't order a new one. We just welded a nut on the end, so that way we could still use a ratchet to adjustment, but it would hold the plate for the clutch in. So that ended up working out pretty good, but it was an absolute nightmare. But figured it out. Then we went fishing. Spent some family time, so I didn't want to bring the camera and everything. But then we came back, and we were actually in the garage till late last night working on Chris's bike, which is the Suzuki Intruder 1400. He had a hard time getting these grommets off and stuff with these screws that were locked in, so kind of whipped out the power tools and we busted that open and got that thing going. So hopefully he's going to order the part soon, and this summer we will all be on the road together. So it'll be cool. Now, it's a new day, and it is super beautiful here in New England. The sun is out. So we have the bike already good to go. Obviously I did the oil change, the whole 9 on this thing, new oil filter, and today we're gonna go ride it and enjoy the weather. And on this ride, we finally put this bike back on the road. It's been about a week. Excuse me, my allergies are killing me, guys. We had to put a new clutch in this thing. Had a problem with the, I thought it was the cable, but it turns out after replacing the clutch, we ran into another problem, which caused the original clutch to be broken to begin with. So let me give you a little backstory and show you guys what we're going to do on this ride. So my clutch ended up smelling a little bit, started to cook. Granted, it was really old, had a lot of miles on that thing, and you know, I kind of, I don't want to say I'm abusive, but we do ride on these things. No, they're not show bikes. These things are ridden. And essentially started to smell it, so we ordered our performance clutch, got that in. Never put one in myself, was able to do that. Took the old one apart last Thursday, and over the weekend while I was working, the new one came in. So I was like, all right, great, not a problem. So took my time, put the new one in. Pretty straightforward. I think it took maybe like 10-15 minutes, me just being extra careful. Started reassembling everything, filling up the oil, gave it a couple squeezes on the clutch, and boom, I felt something pop. So I was like, oh no, like, don't even kid me. Like, I already filled this thing back up with oil and everything else, right? So what ended up happening is on this side, there's an adjustment screw for the clutch inside, like a cover, kind of like normally where the primary would be and stuff on a Harley. And the nut had probably been worn out. It was probably hanging on by hopes and prayers, and probably with like the meat of the new clutch isn't much, but it's just a little bit. It basically forced it off. So the nut, basically, it's like a nut pops off, and the threading was completely stripped. So I'm like panicking at this point, because like in order to get that apart, you have to literally basically drop the motor. Everything has to come apart to get to that one screw. Oh man, what is going on here? So, absolute nightmare, right? Can't see this guy. And essentially what happens is I had to go ahead and put a new nut on there, but all the threading was completely gone. So what we ended up doing was we did a little tap weld on the side, a little star pattern, got it on there with a nut and a washer, and basically what that allowed me to do is still make adjustments by using like a ratchet and stuff. So kind of like, I don't want to say it's perfect, but enough of a fix. So I was like, all right. So we went ahead and got that on there and was good to go. So I mean, that was pretty nice. Put it all back together, gave it a couple test drives around real quick. It seemed pretty good, you know, everything was working. So today is the first real ride with this, where I'm going more than like a couple miles. I'm gonna do a Douglas route, which can be 30-40 miles depending on whatever route I want to go, but I really put the effort in. Put a little bit of thicker oil in this thing too this time, since summer's coming, it gets pretty hot. I wanted to go ahead and run a test with this thing and make sure it's going to be able to withstand the heat and not having slipping problems, things like that, because I'm starting to get some slipping in like high RPMs in third gear and fourth gear. So we do want to kind of like get on this a little bit just to make sure that it's working good. But obviously we just passed a bunch of cops doing construction work, so I'm gonna go a little further up the road, and then we'll get on this and make sure it's not slipping. All right, some open roads. See what this thing can do. So far, pickup on the low end is really good. It definitely feels like it's got more power, because I just inherently I'm losing less power to the wheels. So go to second, downshift here. No slipping. So I mean, that's pretty good. Seems to not be a problem. So performance clutch for the win. Seems good. So here in New England today, it's supposed to be beautiful out. Definitely going to enjoy the ride and
try to put some miles on the bike today for sure. And I do know later on tonight I am going to do another session with the low light riding with the camera rig. I know I need to do a whole video going over that setup because a lot of people were like, what is the setup? So I need to make another video and then probably do a setup video as well. So that is on the agenda for today. And actually I might take out the other bike. So we also have a Savage. I might take that thing out later on. So Caitlin usually rides it, and I haven't ridden it in a bit, so why not? It's beautiful out, let's do it.
So yeah, broke down. So much for thinking that the clutch was perfectly good on that thing. It was riding so beautiful. And I'm waiting for my buddy, my uncle, to come to the trailer right now. Gonna help save me. I think I know exactly what the problem is. So I think we're gonna take it back to his house, drain the oil real quick and take a look at this, and I think I know exactly what I need to do to fix it. I think it's relatively a simple fix because I felt like some of the plates slid off. I think I added one extra steel plate because there was one that you don't take off on all the way on the inside. And when I had the last plate, I think I threw it on instead of leaving it off on the outside. So the pressure plate probably couldn't sit on the teeth quite enough, and under stress and load, it let go. But we'll find out once we open it. All right. So we got the trailer. Gonna pull it into this lot and do it from there. So yeah, good times. Alright, so I am an idiot and left, because I had left the original ring in there on. I didn't need one ring, and I put it on at the end because you don't want extra parts. And therein lies the problem. So I'm gonna try to clean this up. There's some little bits of frag everywhere. That's great. See what happens. Alright, so I'm at work right now, and it's supposed to be like in the 70s later on today, so it's like 6 o'clock in the morning right now. But at 2 o'clock when I get out, I actually think I'm gonna go back and try to work on the bike. So spent a couple stressful days of trying to like outthink what I want to do between getting a new bike or fixing this one. Best case scenario, to be honest with you, is I like this bike. I would like to fix it. So I'm gonna go back home today, try to put the shim back in and lock tight those bolts, because it was riding so good before. I think that if those bolts didn't come loose, I think it would have been straight. So gonna go home, put back, like I said, drain the oil, put back on that shim, thread lock the shit out of the bolts and tighten them down, and hopefully that fixes it. So we're gonna find out. I'm gonna try it today and see how it goes.